On an ordinary Tuesday morning, an operations lead at a small marketing agency types a question into ChatGPT. What's the best project management software for a small agency? The AI pauses for a few seconds. In that pause, it runs a series of background searches. It pulls in more than 20 pages of review sites, comparison articles, and vendor pages. It reads them all and weighs what it's found. Then it answers in plain language. It recommends 3 products by name, explains why, and shows 2 links. The buyer reads the answers, picks one of those 3, and starts a free trial that afternoon. Now count the website visits in that story, because the count is the point. The review sites that fed the answer, never visited. The comparison articles, never visited. Of the dozens of software companies competing for that exact buyer, maybe one earned a click, and it came at the very end, after the decision was mostly made. A complete sales contest just took place. Brands were considered, compared, and chosen, and almost nobody's analytics recorded a thing. That story is why this series exists. In this first video, I'll show you the evidence that the old deal of the web is breaking. I'll explain what actually changed underneath, and I'll leave you with a short audit you can run this week to find out exactly how exposed your business is. For 25 years, the web ran on a simple deal. You published something useful, a search engine ranked it, a person clicked the link, and the visit became a customer, a subscriber, or a new lead. Every marketing plan you have ever run rests on that deal. And that deal is now breaking, not overnight, but incrementally, quarter by quarter, as AI assistants answer questions directly instead of sending people elsewhere for the answer. One note before we get into the numbers. Every figure in this series comes from a name study, and when any of these studies disagree, I'll tell you. Any single number may age, but the trend behind them will not. The evidence of that trend comes in 4 parts. First, how often do AI answers appear? By early 2026, Google's AI overviews appeared on about 25% of searches, according to Conductor's analysis of nearly 22 million queries. And that share nearly doubled in a year. Other measurements run as high as half of US queries. The gap comes from measuring different things. Different query mixes, different countries, different time windows. What every measurement agrees on is the direction. AI answers take more of search every quarter, and they appear most often on informational questions, which is exactly the demand content marketing was built to capture. Second, what does an AI answer cost the pages beneath it? When an AI overview appears, the page ranked number 1 loses about 34.5% of the clicks it would have normally earned, by Ahrefs measurement. Pew Research reached the same conclusion by a different route. They watched a panel of real users and found them about half as likely to click any traditional result when an AI summary is present. 3 completely different methods, clickstream data, user panels, and client analytics, all found the same thing. When the AI answers the question itself, the click that used to reward the top ranking simply never happens. Third, how many searches now end with no click at all? Roughly 83% of queries that trigger an AI overview end without a click to any website, per SimilarWeb. That's against about 60% for traditional searches. Inside the chat assistants, it's starker still. About 93% of AI search sessions end without a click. Fourth, the casualties. Because damage this size has names attached. HubSpot's blog network saw organic traffic declines reported at 70 to 80%. Mail Online has reported losing about 90% of its search referrals in some analysis. Business Insider reported a roughly 55% decline, followed by layoffs. And yet, the median loss across publishers sits near 10%, which tells you something important. The damage is real, and it's very unevenly spread. It lands hardest on question-shaped traffic. How-tos, definitions, comparisons, best X for Y. Brand name searches held steady. So your exposure depends on how much of your traffic comes from questions an AI can satisfy. Now, all those numbers point to one idea that matters more than any single statistic. So slow down here. For the whole life of the web, being seen and being visited were the same thing. That connection has now broken. Brands are being seen, evaluated, compared, and recommended at an enormous scale inside AI answers, while receiving almost no visits from all that exposure. I call that split the decoupling, and it will come up in every video from here on. One pair of statistics captures the whole thing. Ahrefs found that ChatGPT carries roughly 12% of Google search volume, but sends about 190 times less traffic to websites. And roughly 20 background searches happens for every click an AI interface produces. The AI is searching, reading, and weighing sources constantly on the user's behalf. And almost none of that activity ever shows up as a visit anywhere. Two wrong conclusions follow from those numbers. The pessimists say AI search doesn't matter yet because AI referrals are only about 1% of website traffic. That's wrong because it counts the wrong thing. ChatGPT alone serves 810 million people a day. The conversations happen at a billion user scale, and the influence happens inside those answers. The optimists say the traffic loss doesn't matter because the influence simply moved. Also wrong, because influence inside an answer only helps if your brand is the one the answer names. The correct reading sits in between. In the answer economy, the scarce and valuable thing is presence inside the answer itself. The citation, the mention, the recommendation. And here's a wrinkle that explains why your own dashboard has probably been lying to you. When an AI names your brand and the user acts on it later, that visit usually arrives as direct traffic or branded search. Your analytics credit those visits to brand strength, and the AI answer that actually caused them gets credit for nothing. So if you're seeing organic informational traffic fall while direct and branded search holds or rises, your content may not be failing. It may be winning placements in AI answers whose payoff shows up under other names. So if the click is no longer the prize, what is? In the old game, you competed for ranked positions. In the new game, you compete for presence inside the generated answer. And it's more of a concentrated contest. A results page offers 10 doors. An answer cites a handful of sources and names even fewer brands. Here's the good news in a hard chapter. Getting into the answers measurably works. Sierra Interactive found that brands cited in Google's AI overviews earned 120% more organic clicks per impression than uncited brands, plus a 41% lift in paid click performance because a citation functions as an endorsement. And the visitors who do click through from AI answers convert at anywhere from 2 to 27 times the rate of traditional organic visitors. The answer pre-sold them. They arrived having already received the comparison, the recommendation, and the validation. One more pattern shapes everything in this series. The answer economy rewards substance over tricks more consistently than the click economy did. Commodity content, the kind that restated known information to harvest traffic, has lost nearly all of its value. Original substance has held far better, and there's a structural reason to expect that to continue. A results page never vouched for its 10 blue links, but an AI assistant puts its own credibility behind every recommendation it makes. If you came looking for tricks, this is the wrong series. If you're building something real, the game just turned in your favor. Now, one finding changes how you should approach everything else. Research from AirOps found that roughly 85% of brand mentions in AI search comes from third-party pages, reviews, community discussions, expert commentary, editorial coverage, not your website. Most of what the AI models say about you, they learn from the places you don't control, which means this work cannot be a website project. It has to be a presence and reputation discipline that happens to include a website. A quick tour of the players, because they are not interchangeable. ChatGPT is the leader, 810 million daily users, and about 87% of measurable AI referrals. Google AI Overviews rides existing search traffic to roughly 1.5 billion people a month, and it's where most of the click damage concentrates. Perplexity is the researcher's tool, built around citations. Microsoft Copilot arrives through the workplace. Gemini, Claude, Grok, and a long tail round out the list. But here's the fact that matters more than any platform on it. These AI models differ radically in which sources they cite. So visibility on one implies almost nothing about visibility on another. AI search is not about one channel. It's a handful of different channels that happens to share a label. Which brings us to your homework. 4 checks, each under an hour, using tools you already have. First, the query check. Export your queries from Search Console and sort them into 2 piles. informational, question-shaped queries, the kind AI answers replace, and navigational or branded queries that still produce clicks. The higher your informational share, the higher your exposure. Second, the answer check. Take the 10 questions that matter most to your business and ask them on 2 or 3 of the major AI platforms. For each, record whether an AI answer appears, whether your brand is named in it, and who is. Brace for the most common, unpleasant surprise in this whole audit. Competitors and third-party sites occupying answers you assumed you own. Third, the referral check. Build one analytics segment for AI traffic and read 3 signals: how small it is, how fast it's growing, and how it converts compared to your organic traffic. Fourth, the dependency check. Estimate what fraction of your revenue depends on the traffic streams we just watched erode. That number is what's actually at stake for you. The work of earning visibility, citations, and recommendations inside AI answers has a name: Answer Engine Optimization. And it's not a list of tips. It's an entire program. Think back one last time to that Tuesday morning buyer, when the AI paused for a few seconds and chose 3 brands out of a market of dozens. Something decided that choice. Not chance and not magic. The selection follows a process, and that process can be understood. That's exactly where the next video picks up: how these AI models actually work, from your question to a cited answer. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and hit that like button if you found this helpful. Thanks for watching.